The hunters, it appears, are now becoming the hunted. In a stunning and unprecedented reversal, the U.S. Department of Justice under the Trump administration has opened sweeping federal investigations that are sending shockwaves from Washington, D.C. to New York City. At the very center of this reckoning are two of the most prominent and powerful antagonists of President Donald Trump. New York Attorney General Letitia James, the architect of the crippling civil fraud case against him, and California Senator Adam Schiff, the lead prosecutor in his first impeachment trial. The investigations, touching on severe allegations from criminal mortgage fraud to the systemic violation of civil rights, represent far more than mere legal skirmishes. They are the explosive next chapter in the battle over the perceived weaponization of the American justice system, a battle where the tables have dramatically turned. The implications could redefine the rules of political warfare for a generation. New York Attorney General Letitia James, who famously built her political career on the vow to get Trump, now finds herself facing the full weight of not one, but two separate and significant federal inquiries from the Department of Justice. These investigations are particularly explosive given James's public crusade against President Donald Trump, which culminated in a staggering $500 million penalty against him and his organization. The first DOJ investigation is a civil rights probe, a powerful legal tool rarely used against a state's top prosecutor. Federal subpoenas have officially been served to her office, and a grand jury has been convened in Albany, New York. The central question of this inquiry is whether Attorney General James illegally and willfully violated the civil rights of President Trump and others, including the National Rifle Association, which she also targeted in a long-running lawsuit. The investigation is reportedly focused on a potent federal statute, 18 U.S. Code Section 242, that makes a federal crime for any person acting with law enforcement authority to deprive a person of their constitutional rights. While this law is often associated with police misconduct, its language is broad. Sources close to the probe indicate the DOJ is building a case that James violated Trump's First Amendment rights, alleging she pursued him not based on evidence, but simply because she didn't like him and campaigned on getting him. This aggressive investigation, reportedly approved by Pam Bondi, an attorney general, and is connected to a Justice Department strike force established to counter political prosecutions. But the legal storm brewing around Letitia James doesn't end with her professional actions. She is simultaneously facing a separate criminal investigation concerning alleged mortgage fraud. This probe, which was publicly confirmed by FBI Director Kash Patel earlier this year, centers on whether James lied on official bank documents. It's looking into whether she fraudulently misrepresented a home in Virginia as her primary residence to secure a more favorable loan. Furthermore, it scrutinizes whether she obtained a loan specifically meant for small 1 to 4 unit homes to purchase a much larger 5-family property in Brooklyn. A federal grand jury has already been convened in the Eastern District of Virginia to hear evidence in this criminal matter. Predictably, James's legal team is crying foul. Her personal lawyer, Abby Lowell, issued a fiery rebuttal characterizing the investigation into the Trump case as the most blatant and desperate example of this administration carrying out the president's political retribution campaign. He declared that weaponizing the Department of Justice to try and punish an elected official for doing her job is an attack on the rule of law. James herself has dismissed the probe as a revenge tour. Despite these defensive maneuvers, the gravity of two simultaneous federal investigations cannot be overstated, though it is critical to note that no charges have yet been filed. Across the country, another of Trump's chief antagonists, California Senator Adam Schiff, finds himself in a similar position. Schiff, who became the face of the Russia collusion narrative and the lead prosecutor in Trump's first impeachment, is now under federal investigation for alleged mortgage fraud following a formal criminal referral from the Federal Housing Finance Agency, the FHFA, to the Department of Justice. The core of the investigation, with claims stretching back nearly 2 decades, is that Schiff repeatedly falsified bank documents and property records to qualify for better mortgage terms. A critical piece of evidence is a 2011 affidavit where Schiff allegedly swore under oath that a property in Montgomery County, Maryland, was his primary residence. The problem? During that same period, he was also claiming a condo in Burbank, California, as his primary home to his constituents and for his ongoing Senate campaign. Federal housing officials assert that Schiff repeatedly certified the Maryland home as his main residence during multiple mortgage filings between 2003 and 2013, all while serving in Congress as a representative for California. This glaring discrepancy led to FHA Director William P. Pulte to accuse Schiff of potential wire fraud, mail fraud, bank fraud, and making false statements to financial institutions. A damning memo from Fannie Mae's own Financial Crimes Unit reportedly concluded that Schiff demonstrated a sustained pattern of occupancy misrepresentation across 5 different federally backed loans. To make matters worse, he is also accused of taking a homeowner's tax exemption in California, claiming it as his primary residence for a $7,000 tax break. In a 2023 statement, Schiff's campaign offered an explanation that legal experts have widely panned as nonsensical, stating that while the Burbank condo is his primary residence, both properties were listed for loan purposes because they are occupied throughout the year and to distinguish them from a vacation property. Experts were quick to fire back, bluntly asserting that the law does not work that way. This case draws immediate and chilling parallels to the conviction of former Baltimore City State Attorney Marilyn Mosby, another prominent Democrat who was found guilty on similar mortgage fraud charges just last year. For now, no charges have been filed against Senator Schiff, but grand juries have been impaneled, and if these allegations hold, the political fallout would be catastrophic for his career. It is impossible to view these investigations in a vacuum. Beyond the serious legal allegations lies an overwhelming political context that defines this entire saga. Both Letitia James and Adam Schiff spent years positioning themselves as President Trump's premier adversaries. James led the successful civil suit that threatened his business empire. Schiff led the impeachment trial that sought to end his presidency. Now, a key figure tapped by the DOJ to act as a special attorney investigating both Schiff and James is a Trump loyalist named Ed Martin. Martin is the founder of the DOJ's weaponization working group, and he has been remarkably candid about its mission. He explicitly stated that their goal was to either charge with crimes or shame those who sought to prosecute Trump before he could re-enter the White House. Proponents of these investigations argue this is not retribution, but accountability, claiming that James and Schiff were the leading weaponizers of the government themselves and are now simply being subjected to the same scrutiny they applied to others.
This narrative frames the DOJ's actions as President Trump and his administration turning the tables on Democrats after enduring years of what they consistently describe as lawfare, the strategic use of the legal system as a political weapon.
This perception is further fueled by proposed legislation like Senator Cornyn's law enforcement tools to interdict troubling investments in abodes, pointedly named the Letitia Act. This bill seeks to impose mandatory minimum prison sentences specifically for public officials who commit financial crimes, like mortgage fraud, a move widely seen as directly targeting Schiff and James. Public reaction, particularly across social media, has been fiercely divided. On one side, many are celebrating the probes as long overdue accountability, seeing it as justice for perceived hypocrisy. On the other, cries of lawfare from the left condemn the probes as a dangerous slide towards authoritarian retribution. As these federal investigations into Attorney General Letitia James and Senator Adam Schiff proceed, they mark a critical and perhaps irreversible juncture in American politics. While it remains early and no formal charges have been filed, the very existence of these probes signals a paradigm shift. The outcome, whether it leads to high-profile indictments or quiet dismissals, will have profound and lasting consequences. It will not only determine the fate of 2 of the Democratic Party's most powerful figures, but will also shape the ongoing ferocious debate over the integrity, independence, and ultimate purpose of the nation's justice system. The nation watches to see if the scales of justice, once tipped, are now being rebalanced.